What are you?
I have no name, but a Jedi like you might call me Sith.
Welcome to Dark Discussions, the unofficial Star Wars The Acolyte recap and review. My name is Dyron, and on this episode we'll be discussing the events that took place and some of the opinions that I have about it. On episode 1, titled Lost and Found, we're introduced for the first time in live action the High Republic era. Under the protection of the Jedi Knights and the wise rule of the Senate, the Republic grows into the Golden Age. This takes place before the fall of the Jedi in The Phantom Menace Episode 1. At the very beginning of the episode, we see this mysterious stranger show up at the front of this establishment, walk over to a table, and basically start a fight with a Jedi right off the bat. Seeing a person of color playing in what appears to be the main antagonist of the show immediately piqued my interest. As they begin fighting, the Jedi Master Dyron asks the stranger, "Who trained you?" Because it's pretty evident that you have some sort of training. Like all Jedi do when they get into an altercation, they pull out a lightsaber, but the stranger pulls out nothing, like no lightsaber, no staff, no nothing. And Master Dyron looks at it and says, "Jedi do not attack the unarmed." And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you got a lightsaber out, this stranger has nothing pulled out, they're not afraid, and they're still coming at you like this? Like, this is somebody to be feared. They got a real beef with you right now. Yeah, the stranger wastes no time making quick work of the Jedi. Killed Master Dyron. She's out of here. Then they fast forward to showing a stranger again, but this time she's dressed differently. And the Jedi Knights show up pretty much like the galactic cops. Start questioning, like, were you here at this place last night? What were you doing? And all this type of stuff. She's denying it. I'm sitting here to myself like, yo, we all just watched you do this. Like, how you really just gonna just deny this? Over the course of the interrogation, we finally learned that the character's name is Osha. And that pretty much sets us up for episode 2, titled Revenge and Justice. This is where we first get the idea that maybe it is actually two girls. Maybe the first girl, Osha, is actually telling the truth, which means that we still don't know who the original stranger's name is, because there's a theory out there that these girls are twins. I was like, okay, that's kind of different. We haven't seen something like that in Star Wars before, like twins, one being good, one being evil. But we find out that the girl has a sister. Her sister's name was May, and she had died 16 years ago. She was also accused of killing that family. But we also learned that 16 years ago, there were 4 Jedi that were stationed pretty much on her home country, or home world of Brindok. Then we find out that May has this, pretty much like this kill list, and she has the name of the 4 Jedis that were stationed on her home world, and she's trying to kill them one by one. So that's the reason why she approached Master Dyron the way she did in the very beginning. But at this point, I'm still trying to figure out, like, why are you trying to kill the Jedi? Like, what did they do that was so bad that makes you want to just go and kill them one by one? But next on her list was Master Torben. She finds him, approaches him, but he's in this floating meditation state, and this force fields around him. She can't get through to him. So she goes back. She decides she's going to poison him. She comes back. She speaks to him again. He hears her voice and basically confesses for his crimes. And I'm like, whoa, what crimes are we talking about? At the very end, you see May walking up to this mysterious dark figure whose face she can't see, and it appears to be who she's working for. On episode 3, titled Destiny, we start to get a little bit backstory, a little bit origin of the girl's story. So we find out and confirm that they are twins and they are sisters. We get to figure out or learn about their past and how one basically went one way, one went the other way. So it starts off with they're attending a ceremony. They call it Extinction, which is basically a ceremony to become a witch. So then I'm like, okay, maybe they're like Night Sisters, because in Ahsoka, we got our first live action look at the Night Sisters. And I was like, okay, they're starting to really like lean into the witches and the darker corners of Star Wars a little bit more, which I like. So the Jedi Knights show up again like Galactic Police, saying basically it's Republic law for them to test these girls to see if they're force sensitive. So the 2 girls or their covenant come up with a plan to just lie about and fail the test. So May goes in there, she fails the test because she wants to stay and become a witch and stay with her people. But Osha goes in there, begins to lie, but then it's kind of caught a little bit. It is kind of talked into telling the truth, and they find out that she actually doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to take over the witch covenant when she gets older. After May finds out about this, she basically locks her sister in a room and takes her book or diary and just like burns it because it has like Jedi stuff on it. This leads us into episode 4, titled Day, and this is basically back to present time, and this is basically just like a search for May. May's on his journey to knock off the third person on her list, which is Master Kelnaka, which is the Jedi Wookiee, which is the first time we've seen that, a live action Wookiee that's a Jedi. So that was pretty cool seeing that. But she's walking with the stranger, and you know what? I'm this whole time I'm like, what is this dude's deal? Like, why? What is the purpose of him? Why is he here? Is he just like a sidekick? Now I'm starting to get suspicious about him, really, at this point. And on the other side, the Jedi Knights show up in Kofar, which is basically where they land to go search for Master Kelnaka. They're in the world of Kofar, and they are looking for May and Master Kelnaka at the same time, because I think they get to the point where they eventually realize that her vendetta or vengeance is against these 4 Jedi who were on Brindok when she was younger, and he's the third name on the list. So they're trying to get to him before she does. And towards the end of the episode, May is slowly starting to have a change of heart a little bit. She kind of wants to turn herself in, but we finally get our first like real glimpse at the real main antagonist, and this dude looks sick. Then we get to episode 5 titled Night, and this, for me, this is what I had wanted from the very jump. This is the type of energy I was looking for, like some real Sith-like sickness. So this is basically a whole night fight scene, basically. Like, it's like spooky hours at this point. This was probably the best episode of the series, in my opinion, because you get to see like this dude's full capabilities. Like, his mask is like real sick looking, and he has like this cortosis, or this metal on his helmet that he can like block out the thoughts of the Jedi so they can't get into his head. And if they strike his helmet or that metal with their lightsaber, like it shorts out their lightsaber. So like it's kind of like flickering and cutting out. Like, this dude's like advantage is crazy right now. But he ends up telling the Jedi Master Soul like he's so angry and he hates the Jedi because he was once trained to become a Jedi himself, and he was thrown away like trash. The altercation continues, and we finally get the big reveal of who the mysterious stranger is. And just like I thought, it was the girl's sidekick this whole time. Like, I had a feeling about this dude, like something was off about him. We find out what he wants. He basically wants the freedom to do what he wants with his power, and he wants a Padawan, or an Acolyte as they call it with the Siths. And he had a few one-liners like rules, rules, rules. If you never follow them, you never have to break them. That leads us into episode 6, Teach and Corrupt, where May and Osha actually end up swapping places at the end of episode 5 because May knocked out Osha, took her outfit and swapped it with her. So now she's living amongst the Jedi with Master Soul in them. And Osha is actually living amongst the stranger, or we find out his name is Quimmer. He's basically trying to like convert her or recruit her over, basically. And you tell her, like, when you lose everything, you're finally free. You know, your anger betrays your thoughts. The Jedi are right about some things. And he's like full court press, like he's putting it on thick, like, yo, this anger, this pain that you have, like, this is really who you are. You need to basically embrace this. And on the other end, May's living with Master Soul. You can kind of tell she's somewhat taking a liking to him a little bit. Like, she's kind of like easing up on him a little bit, kind of seeing him for who he is and not who she portrayed him to be when she was younger. But she still is angry with him, and she keeps telling him that he has to tell May the truth about something. There's something that we don't know yet that he hasn't revealed to the audience and that he hasn't revealed to her. Quimmer continues to play like his little mind games with her, and but she's like resistant. She's like, I'm not my sister, I'm not easily corrupted. But then he hands her a helmet and she seems curious about the dark side, and I'm Jack Nicholson head nodding at this point. Episode 7 is called Choice, and this is a very controversial episode. A lot of people had an issue with this. Me, personally, I didn't mind it. It gave us an alternate view of the events that took place in episode 3. Even though it's kind of repetitive, you see it from a different side, a different angle, and you learn more about what actually happened that night. Like, I don't know if you've heard of Lion King 1.5, but you get an alternate view from Timon and Pumbaa's side of what really occurred. And that's what this was for me. you find out that the Jedi run back because there's concentration of force energy that can create life that they have to investigate. And they find out this is some sort of a force cult. That concentration of force energy, they created the life of these two girls, basically, who aren't twins, by the way. They're one consciousness in two bodies, like they're the exact same person. Then we find out that Soul is actually the reason that their mother died. Like he killed her. And then on top of that, Master Endar is the actual person who killed the rest of the witches in their family. So May didn't do any of this stuff. No wonder she's mad and angry about this. But she's labeled as the angry black girl. Later on in the episode, Soul has a chance to save both girls on the bridge, but he let go of May and let her die, hoping that his secret or their secret would die with her. It only saves Osha, the girl who wants to be a Jedi. And Master Endar comes up with this master plan to just cover it all up. And then episode 8, the last episode, or the finale, titled The Acolyte, is basically about anger, fear, and desire. And Quimmer is basically telling Osha, like, how can Soul teach you to control your emotion when he's the reason that you have them in the first place? And he's absolutely right about that. I mean, that's a bar right there. But the other, probably most interesting thing to me was just this being that's like hiding in the cave, hiding back. Like he's on some real like Palpatine stuff. And come to find out that it's Darth Plagueis, who, by the way, was actually Palpatine's master. That's who Palpatine learned his evilness from. Finally, May and Soul are face to face, and she's basically telling him that he needs to tell Osha the truth. And reminded him of the crimes that he committed. And while the whole time they're having this conversation, Osha's standing in the back and she overhears everything. She basically confronts him like, is this true? And Master Soul looks shook because he knows the cat's out the bag, and he's like, yo, do you have any idea what kind of power this is? Because he knows she's extremely high in M count and force sensitive. She also has the power of the witches in her running through her blood. And now she is starting to have dark thoughts like a Sith. Like she is a powerful being at this point. And she kills him. She completes the list for May. At this point, all four of the original Jedi and Brindok from 16 years ago are dead. Master Endar, Master Torben, Master Kalnaka, and Soul they're all done. So Master Venestra Rowe, the green chick with the pink light whip, like the instead of the lightsaber, she has like the light whip. It's kind of cool. I've never seen anything like that before. She basically framed Soul as the rogue Jedi after his death to cover up the truth even more, because she doesn't want the information out that all four Jedi were actually guilty of this crime. It's better to say that there's only one bad apple in a bunch that was than to say basically that there's more corrupt Jedi within the department. I'm using like a police reference here, but she wants to make it seem like he was the only one that stepped out of line. And she's not somebody to be trusted, basically. And I have a feeling that she is actually the master that Quimmer was talking about when he said he was trained to be a Jedi. He was thrown to the side like trash. And then the biggest reveal of the whole show is that her master is actually Yoda, which is a crazy chain of command. Like she comes from the teachings of Yoda, but then she's the way she is. Like she throws away her student, she's covering up truth. So these Jedi got a real issue right now. But my final thoughts on the show, man, I'll probably give it about a 6 or 7. It's not exactly what I was hoping for. When I seen the Acolyte first announcement, I thought we were going to get a dark Star Wars. Like he was really going to lean into it. But they spent half the show just focusing on the Jedi Knights, which I understand the High Republic was never been explored before, but I was hoping they're really going to lean into the dark side of Star Wars. I don't know if there's going to be a season 2. I hope there's going to be a season 2, but I know it all comes down to finances. But they have a lot of questions that need to be answered. Like Darth Plagueis, I want to see his true potential as a Sith master, the role that he played with Quimmer, and the role that he's going to play moving forward. I hope season 2 they make when they listen to the fans and spend more time exploring the origins of the Sith and the darker side of Star Wars. Now is the time of the Sith, man. We want to see dark Star Wars, man. If you got to make it a horror, make it a horror. I don't care. Like, give us what we want. But I hope you enjoyed this type of video. This is my first time doing this, man. I don't know everything about Star Wars, so if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. And hit that like button.